We are talking about persuasion, and we just finished discussing the theory of congruity and the techniques that are used with the theory of congruity. I'm going to switch now to a different theory of persuasion, a different technique. It's called the societal judgmental. Societal, using the word society, and judgmental, using the word judgment. Right? This theory begins by placing the audience or the market, the people, into, again, we're looking at lines being drawn, only this time instead of a triangle, it's just a series of latitudes. There's 3 lines drawn. And on the top line, we have what we call the latitude of acceptance. Right? Latitude of acceptance. In the middle, we have what's known as the latitude of apathy or indifference. I've added one called indecision, I don't know. But it's people who aren't with you and they aren't against you. Right? They may not even know about the whole thing. And the other latitude is the latitude of rejection. I'm just not going to do that under any circumstance. So that's where our marketplace is. Now, we being now switching roles, we're going to be the people who are going to try to sell you something. It could be an idea. It could be a product. It could be a church. We're going to try to sell you something. All right? Now, which of these groups are we going to? All right? Now, consider this. Let's use automobiles, pickup trucks. Let's use a pickup truck as an example. I always use a pickup truck because that's what I drive. Let's say that I own a big automobile dealership. And I say to my sales force, look, I just bought 150 pickup trucks. 2012 pickup trucks. That's about 150 of them because I got a good price on them. But that's a lot of money, and I want you out there and I want to sell these trucks. Like now. So go to your Rolodexes, go do your work, get on the computer, do your research. Let's sell these trucks. Well, now, who am I going to talk to? Right? Remember the latitude of acceptance? Who's most likely to buy this pickup truck? Well, let me add a qualifier here. These are Ford pickup trucks. They're Ford F-150s. Best-selling truck in the world. All right? And now we got 150 of them. Who are we going to try to sell these trucks to first? Now, I say that to my learners in my classes, and we begin this discussion. And it comes down after a while. We are going to look up from the state list of automobile ownership, which you can do, who owns Ford F-150s that are either 3, 4, 5, or 6 years old. Now, these people bought a Ford 150 before, so they accept the Ford. And you know what? They must like it because they still got it. And it's getting old. Let's sell them a new one. Because they're in that latitude of acceptance. Okay? Now, who would be the least likely to buy one of these pickup trucks? There's no sense to selling them to my 75-year-old mother who likes her Buick LeSabre. Right? There's no sense trying to sell them to a teenage girl who lives in the city. I mean, we can make a long list of people who are not going to be interested in this pickup truck. So when we go to buy our advertising, we are not going to go on a market, on a radio station or a TV program or in a magazine or in a newspaper aimed at 18-year-old city-dwelling girls. Maybe no 18-year-old girls at all. Now, we're most likely to get this in the hands of people who bought them before. Right? And we can start digging through records and find out pretty much what kind of people these are. And we can design our advertising, our marketing, and our sales to reach those people. We can look at our own client base and get on the phone and call these people. Now, who's in the middle? Who are the undecideds, we think? Not against us necessarily, but not for us necessarily. Right? Well, once we got through discussing it, we decided there were two classes. First-time buyers. Farm boys. Farm boys. Right? Go buy a truck. Now, generally, they don't have the money. So we talk to their parents about buying them a truck. They're going to bug you for a car, get them a truck. They can still go places, but they can help on the farm. Right? But we're also going to pick and market to people who buy trucks, but it hasn't been a Ford 150 before. We're going to target people who have bought Chevys and Dodges, and they didn't keep them very long. They rolled them over. They had, someone buys a truck and then buys another one a year later, and there's something wrong with that. I tell you what, I've owned about 4 or 5 pickup trucks, and I've gone well over 200,000 miles with every one of them. Tell you a funny, true story. I had one, I lived in Florida, I had a Ford F-150 pickup truck that had 278,000 miles on it. And one day, both the tie rod ends got busted up in the front end, those tires splayed out. I guided the truck off to the side of the road, took a look at all the dents and the rust and the busted tie rods. I reached in the glove compartment, got the title, and signed it and laid it on the dashboard, and whoever come and got that truck could have it. And the funny thing is, and I'm not kidding, about a month later I saw it going down the street in Tallahassee. Somebody picked it up. So people can keep those trucks, and they tend to do that. But if there's turnover, they've had a problem. So now we know who our market is, based on the latitude of acceptance or rejection, or I don't know. I'm sure most of you have had a good-looking young boy wearing a gray pants and a blue blazer and a white shirt, maybe a tie with a name tag out, knock on your door. Member of the LDS Church, a Mormon. And he'll make pleasant conversation with you, and then pretty soon he'll get around and won't know if you have a church. And if you say, yes, I do. I am a devout Baptist, or I am a Roman Catholic, and I go to church, and I love it, and that's my church. They'll say, that is a good thing, and God bless you, and thank you for talking to me, and off they go. Now, sometimes they'll run into people who say, I don't have a church, and I don't want one. Get the hell off my property. Off they go. The latitude of what? Rejection. Now, if you say to them, no, I don't, but probably should have. What we have now is the latitude of possible acceptance. They're in the middle, but we can move them up if we have the right message. We might be able to get them in our church. And so we begin to talk, for one of these boys, we begin to talk about family. And the importance of family. And pretty soon, we just might have somebody visit our church. Right? Political people do the same thing. We, in the political campaign business, refer to people as saints, savables, or sinners. The saints are the people who are with us. So what do we do in marketing and campaigning and advertising about the people who are with us? We keep in touch. We feed some ads out there, some market. We say some things that we know they like because we have surveyed them. We have spent probably $1 million determining what they think. And we keep feeding them that to keep them. Then on election day, what do? We make very sure they vote, at least once. We make sure they go vote. Voter turnout. If they're going to be gone, we make sure they have absentee ballots. Because they're in that latitude of acceptance. You see, they're saints. Now, the sinners down on the other end, they're for the other person. They're not for our guy or woman. So we just mark them off for the time being. Let's forget them for a little bit. Not entirely, we'll be back. But just forget them for a little bit. Now what about the people in the middle? The savables, the undecideds. We do a lot of research to find out what they want and what they're thinking, what their dreams and hopes are. And that's what we campaign on. We talk to them about that. I used to be so brazen, I called it Operation Christmas Tree. We'd give them a present. We would convince them that we are going to do for you what you want done. Or it might not be something they want. It might be we are the kind of people that you are. This compatibility. Now, back to the sinners. Do you know why you see so much negative advertising? It's not to convince you to vote for the other guy. In the Romney-Obama campaign, Romney just attacks Obama over and over and over and over again, slam him. He's not trying to convince black Americans to vote for Romney. He's not trying to convince people who are against. He's not trying to convince people who will never vote for him to vote for him. He's not trying to convince Obama supporters to vote for him. He's trying to make them sick of the system so they won't vote at all. Voter turnout suppression is a specific, funded, organized program in every campaign that's worth anything. I've done them. Up in the state of Alaska, we were running against a candidate named Tony Smith, and Juneau is a Democratic city, and I was working for a Republican at this time. And we just blistered Tony Smith in Juneau. We hit him with everything we could possibly think of. We knew we wouldn't carry the city, but sure enough, they didn't vote for him either. They just skipped that on the ballot. And his total number of votes went down. And that's the theory of societal judgmental. But where's the society part of this? Well, when people make their decisions, they talk to their peers. They talk to their parents and their friends and their coworkers and their neighbors and their girlfriends and their boyfriends and their wives. Hopefully these are all the same person, you know. And see what they're doing, because nobody likes to be standing out there by themselves. And so they move in groups. If you follow the polls during the campaign, it'll say the soccer moms are going this way, the rural people are going this way, the young professionals are going this way. It's this group that we belong with, that we identify with. And so the candidates or the salespeople for a product or a service talk to that group. That's the societal judgmental theory. And it works. That's how it works. Okay, next. There's a theory a couple of men put together called the elaboration likelihood model, ELM. Elaboration likelihood model. And they divided kind of our thought processes into values, beliefs, attitudes, and opinions. Right? And here's what they said. A person's values take a long time to be formed. And they're formed deeply and they're held deeply. You're very unlikely to change those. Now, out of values comes a set of beliefs. Matter of fact, a value can be defined as a set of beliefs around a common theme. I'll give you an example. I value education. It's one of my most important values. Because of that, I believe we should be funding public education from womb to the tomb. Because of that, I believe that we ought to be making sure every child has a computer and his home is wired and his parents know how to teach him. Because of that, we should have tuition advancement programs in our industries. You see, my beliefs come out of that value. I used to say that I value life because I love living. Right? So I've had to change it and say I value living. Because when I say I value life, that is inconsistent with my belief in capital punishment. I have to be for it. As I've told my students, I don't believe in the electric chair, I believe in electric bleachers. I take them all out at once. You know? No, that's not consistent with valuing life. And everybody has their own opinion about pro-life, pro-choice, and I have to be pro-choice. That's just my opinion. So that's not consistent. All right? So I quit saying I value life, I value living. And because I value living, here's what I do. I watch my health. I do things that I find enjoyable. I work out on my farm. I play with my dogs. Oh God, endlessly I play with my dogs. Right? Living. So we don't try to change people's values because they're held too deeply and we don't have time. We might work on their beliefs, but that's hard. But because that's hard also, they have these attitudes and opinion. We can change an attitude and opinion because it's brief. Right? I say I believe in education. Okay? I believe in lots of things. I value education. I value equality. This is just me personally. I value equality. Constitution of the United States, equal treatment for all our citizens. Because I value that, I believe in the right of gays and lesbians to marry whoever they want to. It doesn't affect my marriage. A lot of people don't agree with that. But now let's move down a step of some attitudes and opinions. Right? I go to vote. And I go to pick a candidate. But what if I have a candidate there who agrees with me on education, but disagrees with me on the equal rights of lesbian women and gay men? What am I going to do? You see, I can be convinced to still vote for him if the other side gets the message out that, hey, his opponent's against both. You see? I can be convinced at the opinion and attitude level. And that's the theory of the elaboration likelihood model. You work on things that can be changed. If you're going to work on people's values, if you want to change their church, it's going to take some time. Mm-hmm. It's going to take, and you know, I used to laugh when I was teaching learners at the university, kids coming in, freshmen, sophomores, and so on. I had a girl in my class, a young woman. I had a young woman in my speech class. And she was a fifth-year senior just now taking public speaking, which most people take the first or second semester they're there. And she didn't want to take it, so she'd put it off and put it off and put it off. And she got up and gave one of the best speeches, and it was on changing values. And she said, here's the way I was raised. You know, keep both feet on the floor all the time until you're asleep. You're not going to mess around sexually. No alcohol, no tobacco, study, call home. I mean, that's the way I was raised. I come to college, right? Well, what happens? First couple of years, I put on 15 pounds because I'm drinking beer like a Marine. I've had boyfriends I don't even remember their names, get up and go home in the morning. I don't even know which direction my house is, right? I've done all these things I should have never done. And there's this young woman giving this speech. She said, but you know what? I got to be a junior and a senior, and now I'm a fifth-year senior. And I'm tired of all that stuff. Inside, I'm going home. And here's the last line of her speech. She said, my God, I'm becoming my mother. And it was great. She was confirming what I'm talking about. She's confirming these values. Right? I know I've done the same thing. Rebel against what I was taught and then come back. Those values are so important to us. Right? You can change people's attitudes and opinions and even what they do, and that's the next discussion. Right? But this elaboration likelihood model, values take time. Beliefs take time. You can change attitudes and opinions.